The best high school basketball coverage. This is Hoops Madness.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Hoops Madness Overtime. I'm Alan Harwell. You know this guy, Jeff Dubroff. Jeff, glad you're back with us tonight. It's a big night of high school hoops as we now have both the boys and the girls team in the midst of their playoff runs. The boys began play last night, and with more by-district ball games, we have more games tonight. The cool thing about tonight, local teams playing each other.
Yeah, right. You get to see teams that normally would not play against each other, and they went head-to-head tonight. Lots of good games. 3 boys games on the docket for the highlights. Let's check it out. Look at the games we're looking at. We had Ray versus Gregory Portland. That was an intriguing matchup. You know, GP barely made it into the playoffs with a win last week. Miller taking on Calallen. A lot closer than I think people expected. And then Flower Bluff versus King. This was the matchup that you and I had been talking about a lot over the past weekend, about a game that really was interesting to us. And then the game of the night, perhaps, Carroll taking on number 12 Veterans Memorial. That is in the girls' rank. That is the regional quarterfinal. Winner of that one would head to the regional semifinal in San Antonio. So lots of good games, and we have more games to show their scores. But we'll start out over at Veterans Memorial when Ray was taking on Gregory Portland. Let's look at the highlights. Ray coming off their first district title outright since '04, and GP, like I said, barely squeaked into the playoffs with their win over Laredo Cigaroa last week. And you know what? GP said they're coming out strong, ready to play. That's Chase McBrayer's steal and the layup, catching the body going down low. But look, this Ray team can shoot. Ryan Nuremberg, he might be their best player, Alan. He can shoot the lights out of the building. And Cole Dennis is also one of those guys on the receiving end from Nuremberg, hitting the 3, swishing it there. It was tough early, going back and forth. You know, head coach Brian Borg, this team has really fought hard all year now. Marlon Crockett cleaning up the miss. He is great. And now Marcus Arroyo on the other side, a little pop shot. You know, Ray, after the first period, not happy. You can tell he's kind of getting into his team there, expecting more, and they delivered. Robbie Hilliard driving, hitting it in there off the glass, and now a steal by Ryan Nuremberg. Fast break leads to this, and it turned out to be all Ray towards the end. They win 79-54.
I think they're the best team in South Texas.
I think so too. And I was talking with head coach Brian Borg after the game. The game that we're now looking to, a potential collision with Laredo Martin. Yeah. That's going to be a good one.
That would be Brandon Burke.
Got to get there
first. Great job. Yeah, great. He does a great job at Ray. Now, meanwhile, over at Miller tonight, the Buccaneers, the number 2 team from the District 35A, playing host to Calallen, the 3rd seed from 29-5A. It's been a long 5 years now since the Wildcats played playoff basketball, but here they were tonight. Miller would take charge early on. In fact, he'd force several turnovers. That's Cassius Clay. Look at him run. And he will lay it in. And the Buccaneers are going to force another Calallen turnover right here. In fact, Miller would jump out to a 13-0 lead. A lot of wheeling and dealing here, but in the end, Guzman with the bucket. Again, Miller pitching a shutout about 4.5 minutes into this game, but Calallen finally comes to life right here. That's Ethan Martinez, one of the best players in all of South Texas. He scored 42 points tonight. This wound up being a very close game. Calallen, in fact, got to within 3 with 15 seconds to play, but Miller would hold on for a 4-point win, 67-63. The way this game started, Jeff, I thought it was going to be a blowout. I really did. But Calallen, they kept focused, they kept in there, and they came almost all the way back to make it a really close game.
Heck of a season for those guys. I mean,
Randy Lawrence does a terrific job.
Really does. Ethan Martinez, too. Senior
42 points.
42 in a losing effort, but nonetheless, I mean,
they're going to miss him. He's a senior.
Yeah, that's a great performance. That's a team, though. I mean, good for Calallen. They make it back to the playoffs for the first time in quite some time, and they made the most of it, almost pulled out the upset. Now, going on after that Ray GP game was Flower Bluff taking on King. We talked about King. King was going on a roll. Flower Bluff finished in 2nd place, and now these two teams, it was a matchup of skill and 3-point shooting versus size down low. Who would come away victorious? Let's look. Flower Bluff and head coach Jamie Boswell. That's a young team, by the way. They're returning nearly every player on their team next year. And Jasani Smith, he is one of the big men for the Mustangs, working early. But Jaden Terrell on the other side, getting the layup to fall, showing off in front of the crowd. And he wasn't done. He's extremely versatile. Goes around the screen from Brandon Trammell, hitting the 3. And this game was going back and forth from 3. Wendell Smith says right back at you. And then on the other side, it's Henry Barra coming off, three-pointer, nothing but the bottom, and it just went back and forth and back and forth. Two heavyweights punching back and forth, and Wendell Smith again. Three-pointer trying to get the crowd into it. King really wasn't expected to be here. Jalen Robinson, beautiful reverse layup. Jamie Boswell going to have to call a timeout, really focus, getting his team to regroup, and they did. Cameron Harris around the screen from Trammell. Bank is open, Allen hitting the three there, and he was not done. Beautiful step back jumper, gets it to fall. Flower Bluff pulls away late, 66-50.
I'd tell you, Flower Bluff, they're a very dangerous basketball team, and you said they're young too. They could go a ways.
Yes, that's what we were talking about, Coach Boswell and I, before the game. Dorian Bertero, perhaps their best player, is only a junior. They're young.
Good.
They're young. He's great. And they're going to be good for some years to come.
We would have a hard time coming up with our Hoops Madness starting five.
I think it'd be an intriguing all
yeah.
Hoops Madness overtime.
We've got to come up with that next week. Well, we have saved the best for last tonight. Perhaps the wildest game of the night. Carroll took on Veterans Memorial in girls action, and this was a wild one. The last time these two teams met, Carroll won it at the very end. But what about tonight? Game tied at 14. That's Lindsay Evans. Boy, she's good. Boy, she hits the jump shot right here. But the Eagles are going to answer right back. They've got a 23 who's really good, too. Anasisa Banks, look at her here. She's going to lay it in. This was a close game. You knew it would be. And down the stretch here in regulation play, Alizanette Kearney is going to hit a big three right there. Again, late in regulation to give the Lady Tigers a 2-point lead. Now, this will wind up going overtime, high intensity. Evans hits a couple of big free throws to ice the victory. They're up 5 there. Then as the clock winds down, you see the celebration right here. The Lady Tigers advance, to the regional tournament in San Antonio. Next Friday night, they will take on San Antonio Veterans Memorial beginning at 5:30. They're only 2 wins away from making it to state. Here's a team that very few teams gave any chance of having any chance of doing anything.
Good for them, really.
They're getting it done. All right.
Yeah. Tough for Coach Delapena, though.
I know. Boy,
great season for them. More games. There were more games. Let's check out the scores from around the Coastal Bend. We didn't get highlights, but let's check it out. Laredo Martin, this is a game we wanted to keep an eye on because Calhoun was in the same district as our CCISD teams. Calhoun loses 90-59.
There are a lot of people who are predicting Laredo to Martin to win the state championship.
Yeah, they're very good. They go on to the next round.
All right, let's see about West Oso. Boy, they're very good. I expect them to make it back to the regional tournament. They beat La Feria with ease, 72-56.
Another 4A's team we're looking out for. Rockport Fulton kind of flying under the radar this year, Alan. 47-38 over Zapata.
They've had a great sports year all around, no doubt about it. And then look at Kingsville. Boy, they hang on to beat Hidalgo by 2.
Yeah, 4 seed in that district.
59-57.
Now over today, Sinton taking on Port Isabel. 67-54, the Pirates. Big day in sports for them with the announcement of their new AD and basketball.
They did. They got a new AD athletic director. Congratulations to Sinton. They're always making good headlines. Odom, boy, I tell you what, this boys team, they are very talented, and they just blasted Dilly tonight. Look at that, 75-45.
That's a team that can shoot threes well. Over Brownsville Idea Frontier taking on Santa Gertrudis Academy. Santa Gertrudis Academy, they're a good team, 53-46. They can make some noise as they get in further into the playoffs.
Yeah, they always make us work late in the season. That's something we don't mind one bit. All right, Victoria. Now, this is a shocker. Yeah. Flower Bluff Lady Hornets lose, and this is an overtime game. They lost to Victoria West 50-48. I really thought they were going to make it back to the regionals tournament, but wow, tough loss for the Lady Hornets tonight.
Yeah, that is tough. Now, going on, Beeville and Orange Grove. This was just over at Ray High School. Beeville getting the win 36-35. Big win for them. They head into the regional semifinal.
Yep, they sure do. They're having a great year. And also in girls basketball tonight, Skidmore Tynan, boy, they're having an outstanding year. They, too, flying under the radar. Number 22 in the state, beat AP 42-30.
Aransas Pass was the 4 seed, making it all the way to the regional quarterfinals. Good for them making a run in the playoffs.
They did well.
And then finally finishing this one out, Shiner ends Refugio season 43-25, the final there. Really solid day of basketball. We've seen some highlights. We've seen some scores. Alan, I want to ask, team that impressed you? We always like to look back on each night.
I would have to say the Carroll girls basketball team. They're the team of the night tonight. Yeah.
They were really solid. Ray impressed me outside the fact that I completely botched head coach Borg's name.
Brandenburg. There you go.
That's where my mind is at today.
Brandon, you can call him after
Yeah,
the
yeah.
show.
That's where my mind is at today.
Right.
They impressed me, and you know what? Flower Bluff did as well.
They did. All right, don't forget, tomorrow night, the Islander women will take on Stephen F. Austin. It is Chris 6-9 inside the Dugan Wellness Center. Show up, mention Chris 6, you get in for $6, plus the fact we'll give you a free rally towel. And the Islander women, they got a really good ball club this year. So that's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock tip-off at the Dugan Center. What do you think?
That'll be a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, the Islander women, men and women both need a win. Men on the road could use one. Women as well. Both fell to New Orleans in kind of heartbreaking fashion.
Sure did.
The women are coming back 2 back-to-back losses by 2 points.
I know.
I'd like to see them get a win.
What ifs? All right, that is going to do it for another edition of Hoops Overtime Madness. Join us here every Tuesday and Friday night. We got all the scores, all the highlights, everything you need to know to break down Coastal Bend's team's march to San Antonio. And it's here. It is almost
here. It's unreal. It's flown by, hasn't it?
All right, Jeff, thanks a lot. We'll see you Friday night on more Hoops Madness Overtime. Have a great night.
The best high school basketball coverage. This is Hoops Madness.